Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
All right, little bonus episode here because J.J. McCarthy spoke to the local media for the first time in how many months, Judd? October?
Yeah, the fall. Yeah, he came back. So he came back from his surgery, was in before procedure 2, which was November, something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably September or October. He had talked nationally since then, but he had not talked to the local press until yesterday.
Yeah, he's done, like, he was on the Kay Adams podcast from that, like, NFLPA golf event. Yep. I think he was on Rich Eisen at one point.
Super Bowl, I think.
Yep, Hawken, whatever. They're always like Hawken products and stuff. But so we're going to play some clips from J.J. McCarthy's first official sit down with the local media in months and months and months, and we will react to those things. And Andrew Van Ginkel got himself a nice little bag, and we can talk about what that means.
Very interesting.
But you and I both covered. We've covered the Vikings. You more than me, even like as writers in the past. And Eric Sugarman was the longtime head trainer for the Vikings for like 2 decades.
Athletic trainer.
Athletic trainer.
They don't like trainer. Athletic trainer.
Yeah, he's not like training players to do backflips. He's the head athletic trainer.
Exactly right.
And we saw the work that he did firsthand with players. I mean, the Teddy Bridgewater situation. E.J. Henderson. Even Adrian Peterson's knee injury as a rookie. We've seen firsthand what Shug can do. And now he's got a new project.
Exactly. And he has always been, or was at least with the Vikings, on the cutting edge of stuff. And Shug is still like that. In fact, he has taken his talents to, if I may, Neos Elite Performance, which is cutting edge regenerative medicine and cellular IV therapy that's designed to get you going again. I could go on, but here's the thing about this, okay? If you are in pain, let's just say that you once loved to golf, or let's just say that you played pickup basketball for years, and now you can't. And now you can barely get around. You've been slowed by knee or back pain. Neos Elite's therapy is designed to reduce that pain, restore function, and here's the most important part, get you back to doing what you love, and there's a special right now. Just reference Purple Daily, and you're going to get $500 off a cellular IV therapy treatment. There's no surgery. There's no downtime. In fact, they come to you. So they are going to come to you. You don't have to go to the doctors, the hospital. They are going to make your life as simple as possible. And most importantly, they're going to get you back on your feet doing what you love. Check them out, neoselite.com. That's Neos Elite.com. Shug and his staff are absolutely outstanding. So trust the guy who once worked with the pros with your health for your knees, back, any pain.
Amen. Amen. All right, let's play some clips and react to J.J. McCarthy. I enjoy listening to him speak. I feel like I'm listening to what is he, 22? Feels like I'm listening to someone who's 45 years old talk to the media, and also you can feel the Kevin O'Connell influence a little bit too in some of what he says.
Yeah, but what I like is he speaks with, I guess the best word, bit of a cliche, is wisdom. But what I like about him is he has the enthusiasm of his age.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. Yep. Yeah, I mean, he's dealt with very publicly some depression issues and maybe some anxiety issues, and but he meditates daily and he practices mindfulness and perspective, and the work that he's done to help homeless people in the Twin Cities over the past year. There seems to be a lot of great qualities about him as a person, and then we'll see what happens on the football field. But early, like 3 minutes into this press conference, your former colleague, Kevin Seifert, now at ESPN.com, asked him, are you ready to be the starting quarterback for this football team?
Do you think you're ready to start?
I know I'm ready to start. I appreciate that question, Kevin, because all the work I put in and just the confidence in my skills and abilities and just being able to do my job and simplify things to, the best of my ability every single day, and, just take it one day at a time, one play at a time. And, I have a tremendous coaching staff, a tremendous group of guys around me that I can lean on, and they can lean on me.
Along those lines, what do you think about the team that's built around you in terms of the offensive line? They did work on receivers, defense, all that.
It's amazing. I mean, they did a tremendous job, from the defensive side of the ball too, all the way up into offensive line, running backs we added, and just being able to, get the most out of the Minnesota Vikings. That's what I feel like, Kwesi and KO are doing, and I'm here for it.
I love how calmly and confidently he answered the initial part of that question. Are you ready to be the starting quarterback? And he said, I am ready. I am ready. It wasn't like I'm projecting or I'm hemming and hawing. It was just very simply, I am ready to be the starting quarterback. And Kevin, I can't wait for the Judd. I appreciate
I don't know what's
you
coming.
asking that question.
I told you guys before earlier today. I don't know what's coming.
Sports Dad, I appreciate
Alec Lewis,
that question.
Shout out. Seifert, shout out. Mike Max, shout out. Nobody else got a shout out.
You got to earn it with a good question.
But I did like, he is. So there's certain things he does that I think are traits that suggest success. So like, again, because we're gonna get notes. Slow down. He hasn't played a game, and that's actually fair.
For sure, 100% fair.
But let me say this: he has certain traits that I really like for a quarterback, and one of them is how he answered that question. He was totally prepared for it. And he doesn't come off as cocky. He doesn't come off as, well, of course I'm ready to be the starting quarterback. I mean, don't you know that I am sort of already? But he has a few things I like. I actually will say this too. This is going to sound really, really weird. I'm not trying to be funny. He began the process of learning names of the media last year before he got hurt and was trying to call people by name, which might seem like, you guys love it when they call your name. But I'm going to tell you, that to me, again, is a guy who is very focused. And it's a
quarterbackian trait.
Exactly. I don't know. I've never asked him this. I don't have any idea, but I'm about to say something that I have a feeling about. I forget what the trait is, but I have a feeling he has one of these, it's the old term is steel trap, memories. I think he has one of these things where if he looks at something once or is told something, here, the anti-sports dad. I can't remember a name to save my life, right? And I don't care about it. But like he is very in tune with things. And yes, quarterback trait. He has quarterback traits.
Well, yeah, and you even saw during training camp last year in like late July, early August before he went down with the injury. And he'd be out there, he'd be one of the first guys out from the facility, and they're having meetings and stuff throughout the day, and then practice starts at whatever, like 1:30 or whatever time, and he's out there with the third string safety, and they've got a secret handshake or something. Like he's like a hype man for his teammates and friends, it feels like. And I don't think you have to have that super outgoing, pump everyone's tires personality to be a great quarterback, but team building matters. Chemistry matters. These are locker rooms of 53 people from different backgrounds, and football more than any other sport. You need guys all on the same page who enjoy working together at minimum. Maybe they don't love each other off the field or whatever, but it's like you've got to have a connection. Connected teams have a better chance to win more games and to produce more playoff results, everything. And he seems to me, whether it's knowing the names of reporters in his first year or having little secret handshakes with players that he's just meeting, he's got that connector personality and that gravitational pull charisma. Now, can you throw a 15-yard out route as the defense is barreling down on you? Like, there's so many things that go into being a great quarterback, and we just won't know until we see more in the regular season and obviously throughout the offseason camps. But there are some really, really positive signs and things to love about his personality and his leadership.
Yeah, and I thought, to go back to the clip that you just played, I did love the response. Because, again, it didn't come off as cocky. It didn't come off as, I'm the starting quarterback. It came off as, I am prepared for this.
Just very plainly, yes, I had breakfast.
Matter of fact, but enthusiastic.
Yep. Okay, another question here was, I think Seifert fired this one too. Seifert was on his A game in this press conference yesterday. Yep. Do you feel like you need to win the job still? You got Sam Howell, and then you got Max Brosmer and Brett Rippon. Aaron Rodgers isn't here, but he's lurking still. And so he didn't preface all those things. Those are my words. But JJ, do you still feel like you need to win the job?
Jay, do you think you need to win the job this spring or in training camp? Do you think you just need to remind them what you can do? Because obviously you had last summer as well in training camp. How will you sort of set your mind in that regard?
I got to win it with myself every single day. It's a competition with myself, and obviously it's just putting your best body of work, my best body of work out there, but it comes with, looking myself in the mirror every night and did I get better? And, if I keep this, non-comparative aspect to it and just really focus on being the best versions of myself, that's really where I'm aiming and that's where I'm trying to go.
Judd, your thoughts?
Again, I thought it was very mature. I thought it was a good response. He's right though. He's not the first. Like, there's a lot of guys who say this, but the reality is you aren't competing with different players. You're competing with yourself. That's the most important thing. And so I think where it becomes incredibly important right now, at least as things stand on the depth chart, right? There's no question. It's McCarthy. I think it's McCarthy, Howell, Rippon, Brosmer, probably practice squad guy. So there is no true, okay, this guy is breathing down your neck. But what I like is that's where it becomes very important to put blinders on and compete with yourself as if Darnold's still there, as if Rodgers is there, because it can't be like, well, Sam Howell ain't beating me out. Well, no, he's probably not, but that doesn't make it any less important that you compete. And I think where we do have a little bit now of a track record to go off of is last camp when Darnold was the clear-cut one. McCarthy was pushing him, and McCarthy pushed him before he got hurt to the point of they were going to create a competition. They've talked about it. So when he did have a true competitor, and he was the second guy, McCarthy very clearly pushed Darnold to a point where if he hadn't got hurt, there was real question about who was going to start against the Giants in game one. So yeah. I like the fact that he's seeing himself as his main competitor.
At what point in your Judd's Camp Notes experience, going back many, many years of training camps and different quarterback competitions or situations, at what point do you think the Vikings will know, yep, we feel 100% comfortable with him being our week one starting quarterback?
I think before the first preseason game. I think
so, like the first 2 weeks of team drills and all that stuff.
He's leading the ones. He did have, it stunk he couldn't play and practice, okay? But he did have the gift of, and he talked about this, the fact that he got a season to learn. Like he basically got a redshirt year to absorb, and he discussed, and his teammates have, he created books on opposing defenses that he has now. So I think taking the physical with the mental, and the mental might be the toughest part, because he can play QB. The question is, can he mentally process the National Football League, which is a huge step up? So I think Kevin O'Connell will know by the first preseason game exactly what he has as far as the confidence to say privately, it's going to be absolutely great, or I'm a little bit concerned.
I know that that answer probably makes some fans and listeners and viewers of this podcast a little nervous. Like, wait a second. So you're telling me, Sports Dad, they're not going to really know until the second week in August if they feel totally comfortable. And the reality is they can't. They've got all these off-season mini camps and OTAs and stuff, and he's throwing to receivers right now. They're doing some stuff just literally in shorts and t-shirts. But you can't really ramp up full team practice to that extent until you get to training camp. But I would say if they had doubts to this point physically or his retention, they would have brought in someone better than Sam Howell, like pedigree, or someone equal so that you have a couple guys behind him. I think the fact that you've got Brett Rippon is an assistant coach in a locker room. Like, he's a clipboard holder who probably adds some value behind the scenes, but he's not has no track record as a successful player on the field. Mm-hmm. And Max Brosmer he's a proven guy as an offseason body. I think the fact that you've got that little experience and success in that quarterback room speaks volumes about how they feel about McCarthy right now, but there's still a lot of stuff to prove between now, the end of the early offseason portion, middle of June, and then training camp. So it is. There's going to be like 2 phases to this, and he won't be knighted and officially crowned as QB1 until we get much, much closer to the actual season. You mentioned the defensive studying. So that was also a question that was asked from Dave Campbell, our guy from the Associated Press, asked him, hey, you had more downtime than you'll probably ever have as an NFL player. What are some of the things that you carved time to do that maybe you wouldn't be able to if you were healthy and practicing?
You did this past year that you wouldn't have had time for, with all this unexpected downtime recovering?
There was a lot of, just kind of defensive coordinator reports, establishing a big, kind of plan of each player going into that week and, making sure that I knew all the ins and outs and all the busy work on the front end when I had the time for it. So next year, I don't have to spend too much time on things that, aren't going to show up in the biggest way, and just really making sure I could be efficient next year with my, prepping and my game plan, studying and all that stuff.
So what do you think he specifically meant by that? Like kind of he's referenced like defensive game planning. Was he studying opposing defenses, players?
I think
what have you gleaned from that?
Yeah, I think he was doing both. Somebody, I forget which of his teammates actually talked a little bit more in depth about this and said that he had come up with reports and basically has reports now. So, and I'm going to guess that means like the Packers, the Bears, Detroit opponents that they're going to play. But I just think the guy's prep is, assuming that this is all true, and I have no reason not to believe it's true, I think the guy's prep is outstanding. And that's where I get back to, I think that there's a mental capacity here, and quarterbacks have this, like the great ones do have this. I think there's a mental capacity here to digest and process. And I think he's smart enough from his time at Michigan to know that, hey, I had a year here to learn a ton and also to put in time where now I'm not, oh God, we're playing the Packers? I'm not quite sure what they do. Well, now he's exactly sure. But as far as and he talked about, being on the sideline eventually with O'Connell and hearing the play calls and all of that, that's valuable. Mm-hmm. And if you use that time wisely, which it sounds like he definitely did, like he is going to step into camp as a first year sort of rookie when it comes to playing in games, but mentally he's not going to be. He's going to be a guy who essentially is going into his second year as far as the processing goes. And I don't know, again, I would love to know, and it's impossible to quantify, but what is the advantage of having a year where you're not going to play so you can literally just process? And by the way, you're processing a Kevin O'Connell offense. So we're not talking about a flag football thing here. We're talking about an in-depth thing. I think we might find out that it was as valuable as or more valuable to have that mental processing time than it would have been if he had gotten practice snaps, because right now we're just assuming, well, he didn't take snaps. Well, okay, yeah. But what's the positive?
I love that you went down this path, because I actually think the value of the extra processing time, assuming that he took it and ran with it, and it sounds like he did, that the value of that is higher than the negative value of not getting the physical reps. Yes, not getting physical reps is problematic, and there's like this, there's the speed of the game stuff that you kind of lost even in practice. Like you kind of lost some of that. But he's been throwing footballs his whole life. Like he's working on some mechanical stuff, but he fixed a lot of that stuff, it sounds like, before the first preseason game last year, and ironed out some of the stuff between when he was drafted and 5 months later that they needed him to work on. But being able to sit back, slow down, and really study playbook, watching film, he had access to the same technology that Jaden Daniels did, which is that sort of first-person view of Sam Darnold's reps in practice. You can go back and watch and see what the quarterback sees and see where blitzers are coming from. And like Jeremiah Searles told a story on yesterday's O-line committee episode about it was a play in like 2017 or something with the Vikings, and he was on the starting offensive line. And Case Keenum came out. So they had studied. It was against the Ravens, I feel like. And they had studied all week the amount of preparation that goes into like the different looks that you might get. And there was one particular thing that, hey, if the Ravens show us this look at all in this game, we check to this, and it's an automatic huge gain. But all of us have to, like the quarterback has to recognize the center. We all have to recognize that that's the look. You're sifting through kind of a needle in a haystack, and this is the check. And I can't remember if it was like third quarter or whatever, but they break the huddle. They got their play call. They walk up to the line of scrimmage, and oh my God, this is it. This is what the Ravens. This is the look. And a couple of the offensive linemen look back at Case, and Case is like, I got it. You know, don't tip it. And he gets to the line of scrimmage, makes a quick check before the Ravens can adjust, and boom, it was this huge gain. And they're running down the field high-fiving. But like, I bring this up to say that it's the preparation and the studying and the combing through film and the needle in the haystack that led to that one chunk play. Multiply that as a quarterback times 100 in terms of the volume of things you have to know and process and study. And I just think spending an entire year, if he leaned fully into it, he probably expedited the mental side of his game way more than some other quarterbacks that go through their first year and it's drinking out of a fire hose because it's nonstop like physical practice, all of the stuff that goes into it. So we'll see, but I think there's a ton of value in that, and it sounds like he's a much more confident person because of it, based on the way he answered that ready to start question.
Nate Tice with us talking about how, him having his own calls and not having to rely on Bert and Ernie on the sidelines for college football plays. That was one of my favorite things that we talked about with Nate yesterday. And it is a side street, one of just the goofiest things about college football of Bert, Ernie, or Bert, who is it? Which one are we doing here? But for JJ to have the realization of, you're only going to throw the ball. And I went back and looked at some of the box score stuff after Nate talked about that game. Yeah, he threw the ball 9 times. 9 times, and that's a big knock on him that he didn't pass a lot in college. Like, okay, because that offense was built differently, but hit that intellectual stuff, and that's where I think us trying to project not just the readiness, but the statistics of a projection for him next year, I think are still like difficult. But that part's, I'm not saying it's a wash, but like I'm not really concerned necessarily if he has a 4,000 yard season. I'm more concerned, or I'm more curious, the mental preparation, which he is very big on. If the game doesn't look too big to him and he doesn't crumble under moments, that's what I really care about, and not necessarily a 4,000 yard, 35 touchdown season.
Yeah, it's going to be fairly easy with these weapons and this offensive line and this offensive scheme and Kevin O'Connell to really like trick up in game plan, first down, second down. They're going to be able to really insulate him in those situations. It's the 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11. They know that you're going to drop back and pass. You're not leaning on play action. There's not like a mystery of what you're going to do. He's going to drop back and pass, and they're going to be sending twists and blitzes and different looks at him. It's those high leverage, those weighty downs or those meaty downs that coaches talk about. That's right.
Football. Love weighty downs.
That's where the quiz lies and the answers to the test. And in college, he was asked to shoulder a lot of that stuff. Yeah, there were certain games where he only threw the ball 9 times or 15 times because Michigan could just run it all day, 45 rush attempts, and they were dominant. But he did face a lot of, especially in the college football playoff, hey, it's 3rd and 9, or hey, you're backed up 85 yards and we need a drive right now, and you're probably going to have to pass a lot on this drive.
Right.
The fact that he performed in those situations in college, those are the ones that matter. I don't care about the little tricked up like spread offense, quick little hitter off to the left and your star running back like the Bo Nix stuff. They know you're going to pass, and you have to stand in there and throw a ball into a second level window. He has shown the ability to do that so far in his football career.
Their whole plan of how they rebuilt the interior of the offensive line, Mason, though, is if they end up in a lot of 3rd and 8s, something's gone wrong with the offense, not the quarterback. Like this whole thing is built to put you in 3rd and 3. So, and that's where I think the construction is incredibly smart. You need to insulate the kid, and they are doing that. So he's had the advantage now of a season in which to basically just learn mentally. He's stepping into an offense that Darnold ran successfully and is better now. It's got 2 new guards and a center. It's got a bell cow running back who can knife through players. So you now have put him in a position to absolutely succeed, and the offense is now built to stay out of anything ideally probably beyond like 3rd and 5.
Yep. Hey, last thing here on this little bonus episode. It came out yesterday. Andrew Van Ginkel got a nice little $23 million bag from the Vikings. So he originally signed a 2-year contract for like, what was it, like $20 million or something?
Yeah.
And so this would have been the 2nd year of his contract. The Vikings gave him it's a 1-year extension through 2026 for $23 million. And there's been some speculation that maybe they're going to bump his number this year, that it's like technically a 2-year, add the last year of this contract together with that one. I think we're still waiting on the exact details of this, but
we are.
Okay, but Van Ginkel is the news here is Van Ginkel is locked in for an extra year through 2026. Grenard is locked in long term, at least through 2026. And then obviously Dallas Turner is going into year 2 of what will presumably be a 5-year rookie scale contract. So they've got, if Dallas Turner emerges, and some people might be saying, well, why would you do this with Van Ginkel?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if you have 3 awesome edge rushers and you can rotate and keep guys fresh and sometimes have 3 on the field at the same time, I don't think this is a referendum on Dallas Turner. We'll find out. If he's bad halfway through the season, then maybe it was. But I think this is about maybe the 2nd or 3rd most important position in football once you get past quarterback, just making sure that you've got some dudes in there that you can rely upon.
I'd like to see the contract itself, too, because my guess is that the Vikings, again, have shuffled cap space around.
Yeah.
Like, it's always tough because an extension like this, you immediately think, oh, they love the player, which in this case I think they do. But they're also constantly juggling the books, which they should be as well. So, and it was interesting that Van Ginkel's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, was in the building yesterday. He also, of course, is Josh Metellus' agent. Josh Metellus did a podium session yesterday, was asked about his contract, said, I leave that for others. I don't talk about that. But, I'm sure that's been broached as well. I would not be surprised at all if Josh gets a contract extension, at least in training camp. But I think this comes down to as much about what the Vikings are doing with their books as like trying to be a good, oh, we love you. We're going. I think it's both things. And on the Turner thing, the concern about that I don't get, because I'll go back to it again, and we've talked about this. Brian Flores basically is playing positionless defense. Mm-hmm. Like, there's different ways to use Van Ginkel and Turner, Grenard. Like, this isn't the old school where, oh my God, there's only 2 spots. First of all, guys get hurt. When it comes to Grenard and Van Ginkel in 2024, the Vikings were fortunate. But guys get hurt. And second of all, I don't think that this is one where Flores is like, okay, we're fine now. I can again put Turner on the back burner and be fine. So, yeah. But I would just urge us to wait for the contract to be filed, because I guess we're going to find that the Vikings did some probably creative salary cap maneuvering.
Yeah, and Van Ginkel, you can actually he plays a lot of edge rusher where he's attacking, but you can actually he played 93 snaps in the box like as a box linebacker, and
Turner played some there.
Yep, he played 42 snaps in the slot, so
yeah,
you can move him around as a chess piece. I mean, yeah, Van Ginkel actually played 212 coverage snaps, like he's dropping back a lot too,
and he's got the magic hands.
He's great in coverage. Yeah, 100%.
He's got the magic hands. Those hands are like ordinarily like Velcro.
Except for that one against Detroit.
I saw that yesterday.
I think there's another one too.
He dropped 2 pick sixes.
But those picks are incredibly tough because they're bang bang picks.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he's dropping back. He's literally in the rush, and then he's deflecting the ball. Like those picks to me are predicated on, can you sort of deflect the ball and then catch it without stopping?
Yeah, he's one of the most instinctual players. Just the way he clearly studies tendencies and sniffs that stuff out.
Phil, to your point just now, I wonder if they, in looking at the film, I wonder if they would be tempted to, because it sounds crazy at first, but if they would be tempted to give him more off-ball snaps because of his hands.
Yeah, Ivan Pace is great going forward, terrible in coverage.
And yeah,
Van Ginkel's great at everything. They play different positions technically, but that's the thing. Van Ginkel is really good as a rusher. He's really good in coverage. He's just kind of a jack of all trades. Because I saw some of the same stuff you did, which is people on Vikings Twitter like, well, is this bad for Dallas Turner? You want good players. You don't just want 2 edge rushers. You'd love to have a rotation to keep guys fresh. And in this defensive scheme, oftentimes you've got three edge rushers on the field at the same time anyway. So
call them athletes, Phil.
Athletes.
And Declan.
Yes.
We call them athletes. We just want athletes.
That's right. Just like us, the 3 of us. So, all right, there's your little bonus episode. JJ McCarthy, he's alive. He exists in person. And we saw video evidence of him throwing footballs to Jordan Addison yesterday too. So
I like his arm.
Good to see that he's back in the mix. And then tomorrow, Thursday, is back in the mix. We'll do a deep dive on the undrafted free agents. I'm sure Thor will have some things to say about his favorite football player of all time, JJ McCarthy. And then, keep sending stuff in for Feedback Friday this week as well. Purple Daily, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See ya.